Alrighty, got my round of 8 match versus Mercury444F, who knocked me out 2 years ago in the round of 8. Decisive 4-0. I'm back for revenge. Alright, what do we got in this first kingdom? So, good trashing. You got Bonfire, Chapel, plus, Taxman, Governor, Remodel. We'll do some trashing. Draw, Nobles, Governor, Ghost Ship. Actions are really limited. It's only Nobles, which is just a really expensive necropolis. And plus buy, well, there's the pouch we're starting with because of tracker. That's the only plus buy source other than random boons. There's gains with Inventor, Remodel, Governor, and so forth. So what's going on here? Governor Ghost Ship is a pretty nasty combo. You draw them a bunch of cards with Governor, using Governor as like a double lab, and a single lab for them. And then you Ghost Ship them all the way back down to 3 cards. That's just mean. And so, natural inclination is just to take a lot of Governors, use them for draw, and then spam Ghost, or not spam Ghost Ship, just get one Ghost Ship. Multiple Ghost Ships wouldn't be helpful. A bunch of Governors, one Ghost Ship would cover you on the draw front. Then what's the payload? If you're using most of your Governors for draw, you're probably not doing too much gold gaining or remodeling with them, but you get enough Governors and you could use some for golds and turning golds into provinces. I'm not sure about Inventor. Inventor is normally a really strong card, but it's terminal, and the first Inventor play here isn't doing a whole lot for you, because you don't really want the 4s and stuff all that badly, not in any large quantities. And if you can play 2 or more Inventors, that's great. You gain Governors on the second one, maybe Nobles on the third one. But to play 2 Inventors, you first have to play 1 Inventor and gain something kind of useless, and then play a Nobles. So maybe we're playing just like a single terminal for at least a while. Like 1 Ghost Ship, bunch of Governors, and then mostly just buying things 2 at a time with pouch. Seems reasonable. The opening I'm not sure about. Chapel seems like a natural contender. Get really thin really fast. This is obviously good. There's also Transport, which lets you open with a 5 and top deck it if you want. Like you could transport Ghost Ship twice and then be mean and attack them right off the bat turn 3. And that would really hurt their Chapel hand if they drew Chapel turn 3. I also have the pouch and the $4 hand, so I could open with a second 2 if I wanted to. But I'm not sure if I do. I could do Chapel Tracker. But I'm not sure if a Tracker is actually better than nothing here. If I collide with Chapel, I'm a bit sad. And then, pretty early on, I'll get thin enough that it's going to collide with Chapel every single hand. I don't think Rebuild is a key card here. Yeah, I'm still not sure what I'm opening. The moment I'm thinking just Chapel Transport Governor, so that I can buy Governor on a $3 hand soon-ish. Could be Chapel Remodel. I don't think I like the Remodel so much, because I think I want, as soon as I'm done playing the Chapel, to transition over to playing Ghost Ship as my terminal. I'm not sure if I'm getting a Nobles anytime soon to play 2 terminals. It could be Chapel Bonfire. I worry about hitting 3, I think, if I do that. I need to hit 3 twice to get Governor into my deck with Transport. But, Chapel Bonfire will get you really thin really soon. Yeah, I think I'm just going to open with Chapel and Governor. I'll see how that goes. I guess one way to get nobles is you can transport them, can't you? Yeah. I always forget which of these are action, which of these are non-victory. But transport would let you get nobles even though it's a victory card. But I think, once I've trashed a few of the chapel, none of these terminals is super appealing to me for a bit other than Ghost Ship. And so I'm not sure nobles is an early game priority. Remodel will probably eventually be really good because it's like, an extra governor functionally for the remodel effect. But, you don't need to remodel golds into provinces for a bit. So maybe the optimal number of nobles is like one to play a Ghost Ship and then a remodel. There's also some benefit to nobles in that it lets you play your Ghost Ship maybe early in the turn for draw and then draw on. If you're just playing with a stack of governors and a Ghost Ship, anything the Ghost Ship draws you is drawn dead. This is not a great draw. I don't want to trash my pouch. They didn't accidentally not buy anything. That's hilarious. My guess is they thought they were hitting the end actions button, but because they didn't have any actions in hand, that was the end buys button. Hmm. Uh, I'm kind of inclined to just trash one estate. I mean, you're normally not trashing as much as you can in Chapel is a mistake. So I do need to second guess that judgment. But I'm considering just trash the estate, top deck a governor, then I have 7 cards. I play the governor, I'll trigger a shuffle. I have some chance, 1 in 4 chance to draw Chapel. And if I don't draw Chapel, I will draw at least 1 more money and then hit 5. Yeah, I think I like that. Little unfortunate, but I think this is the best way to make most of a bad situation. My ideal draw here is Chapel. I'd love to trash 2 estates and a copper and then transport governor again. But if I don't draw Chapel, I'll just probably buy another governor. Okay, so yeah, no Chapel this hand. Hopefully we draw a governor on top so I can have a bigger hand to Chapel out of. They're probably equalized now. Like, obviously, they have the first player advantage, but they have a bit nicer turn 4 here, trashing a bunch of stuff. Like, my advantage is I bought a governor, whereas they're only going to get to transport one. But that's not a huge advantage relative to trashing a bunch. So I think I just trash 4 here and transport a governor seems best. And then I think Ghost Ship's next on the agenda. I've trashed all my estates. I don't need to get all my coppers out of my deck before adding Ghost Ship. I might. I mean, depending on what happens here. If they draw me a card with Governor, I don't think they will because they don't even have 3 cards in the deck to draw. But if they did, I could like gain gold, draw gold, trash most of these coppers, and still afford to buy Ghost Ship. My bottom 3 cards are just a chapel and 2 coppers. Yeah, trashed 2 coppers. I had 6 coppers in a pouch. I'm looking at 2 coppers. So there's 2 down there. Chapel, 2 coppers. I draw that. And oh, they must have bottom decked their governors. Both of them? That's painful. That's really painful. What are the odds of that? Oh, I probably got the lead again then. Oh wait, I just realized I didn't actually fix my ban list. I banned March just for that Sangatsu match. I didn't bother to fix it. I normally have Colonnade banned, and I mean, like, I'm not super averse to Colonnade, so it's not a big deal. But I do enjoy March, so it's kind of silly to have that still in my ban list. Okay. Uh, so I could gain gold, trash to transport another governor. I could. I'm probably gaining gold regardless. That'll let me trash more coppers. I could trash none and buy another governor. That gets me 2 more governors into my deck at the cost of having 2 more coppers. That's probably for the best, right? I think I kind of want to have 8 money next turn. So I could, buy something, transport something. Probably buy ghost ship, transport nobles. Uh, and so that would involve gaining 1 more gold, trashing all but 1 copper, and then 2 golds in a pouch and a copper would get me to 8. Um, I think I like just buying another governor here, and then next turn I'll draw a bunch and trash the last few coppers. Probably -1. The governor remodel effect here is a little bit weird. Like on the one hand, the remodel effect isn't helping your opponent as much as normal because they're going to be really thin from chapel. So, for example, they don't get to turn their estates into valuable stuff. On the other hand, however, there's not a whole lot of stuff I want to remodel into either. Like the cards I want, like I want governor and noble, but I don't have any 3s or 4s to remodel into governor and nobles. Okay. So I think I'm probably just going to gain gold, draw it all, then I have a bunch. Oh yeah, that gets me a lot of money, doesn't it? And lets me trash all the coppers. Well, if I trash all the coppers, I have 9 money, which would be enough to buy ghost ship and transport something. I could alternatively consider keeping 1 copper so that I could buy ghost ship and buy governor. I don't really want to transport governor all that badly right now because he'll probably take the last one and then I'll be stuck having to re-transport it to get it out. That's not so bad. Is I could trash all of my coppers and then I do want a lot of good governors more than usual. I feel like it's often the case that, even when governor is a really good card, you don't need to like win split or anything. This kingdom, I feel like that's not as true because I want governor to be my main draw source because of the ghost ship interaction. So, yeah, I think just trashing all the coppers might be right, and then buy ghost ship, transport a governor, knowing that I'll probably have to transport it back out in a second. Or I could just trash all but 1 copper and buy ghost ship, buy governor. That might be even better. Let's do it that way. Maybe they'll remodel here, and then I'll get to get rid of my final copper that way. I think at some point soon I would like to remodel the chapel up into a remodel. Right about the time I think I get a nobles. Because I think probably like ghost ship nobles and 1 remodel feels like a good amount of terminals to have. And then with pouch you can buy provinces 2 at a time and threaten to remodel into a 3rd one. I'm not sure if he has a strong enough deck right now to gain and play a ghost ship. I sure hope he doesn't. But there's a possibility he could do the thing that I almost could have done last turn, which is turn a silver into ghost ship, draw it, and play it. Uh-oh. 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 I might be doing it right now. Don't you do it, Mercury. Yeah. Okay, well, I better trash the copper because I'm going to have to top deck it otherwise. I'm still going to have to top deck it, but such is life. Owie. Uh, he still has a bunch of coppers, though, which is good news for me because he needs to play his chapel at some point soon here. What he'll probably do, I guess, is get a nobles this turn. I would expect him to get like nobles governor here, and that'll let him play his chapel 1 more time while still maintaining the ghost ship attack. But you definitely don't want those coppers in your deck long term. Yeah, I mean, noble seems pretty clear here to me. I'm not sure what else he's considering. I think it's too early for province. I guess getting multiple nobles isn't so bad. Like, even if you just take a bunch of them, like 2 nobles together is 1 laboratory effect, and it comes with 4 victory points. That's not bad. I'm not sure exactly what all goals I want to accomplish this turn. Obviously, I want to buy 2 things, which probably is 2 nobles, and then play Ghost Ship and attack him. But I should have a few governor plays left over after doing all of that. And so I could consider remodeling the silver into something. But at this point, the fives don't look too amazing to me. I don't need multiple ghost ships. I don't think I need to rebuild. Okay, so I've drawn my deck. And yeah, I've got 2 governor plays left over. What do I do with them? All I really need this turn is 9 money to get 2 nobles because I can transport a nobles and buy nobles. So it's not really urgent that I take a bunch of treasure or anything or draw it. I would have 9 left over if I governored the chapel and the silver into stuff. I could turn the chapel into a remodel and the silver into what exactly? Second ghost ship. Does the rebuild do anything for me? Like I'm trying to figure out if there's a world where maybe I remodel a silver into a duchy and then remodel or rebuild it up into nobles. Maybe straight into province actually would be a thing. I could see doing that. Yeah, so maybe I'd take a remodel and rebuild here, and then 2 nobles. Ghost ship him. I think that sounds good. So he gets to trash coppers here, but I think he would have trashed all 4 of his coppers with his chapel anyway, so that's not really a concern of mine. This is not a good hand. Hopefully he draws me another governor. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Where am I? Jesus! I have 4 governors in my bottom 6? This is horrible. Oh no. Oh no, oh no. So I think I don't get to do the nobles rebuild thing here. I think what I have to do is top deck a bunch of treasures. Maybe probably what's the least significant things to find? What I'm gonna do is top deck a bunch of like unimportant cards and then just rebuild to clean the shuffle. Oh, maybe I can do it anyway. What if I do? I can leave my ghost ship at the bottom and hopefully I'll find it. What if I discard all of that and then I trash the silver into nobles, rebuild to, or trash the silver into duchy, rebuild to turn it into nobles. That clears out the top of my deck, and then I draw the governor. That doesn't guarantee that I draw, but oh shoot, that doesn't work. We'll see if he lets me undo. So my original plan there was going to be to remodel the silver first with governor, um, rebuild, which clears off the top of my deck, and then draw. But I realized I can't both use the governor for draw and for remodel. So I think what I'm going to have to do here is just play the rebuild for nothing, just to essentially I'm shuffling my deck. I'm wasting a rebuild play to shuffle my deck because I know the top cards are all bad. I guess I could have yeah, if I had a better hand, I would consider turning like rebuild into nobles, but I need to play the rebuild to not dud here. Ghost ship attack. So I probably want the last 2 nobles is here. How do I get those? Does that mean I'm not playing remodel? I could play the remodel as long as I draw them a card. Is that worth it? Let's see. So I could gain gold with governor, draw with governor, remodel something, and still have 9 money left. I could play nobles, remodel into something. Hmm. So if I play the nobles, I remodel a silver into a rebuild? That doesn't help me. I could turn the silver into an inventor, gain a gold, draw it. I could. So if I turn the silver, what if I turn the silver into a remodel, gain a gold, draw, take one province and two nobles? That sounds okay, right? That's not two nobles. Am I just dumb? I gotta get my head in the game. This is silly mistakes. I, for some reason, thought that was gonna be 9 money, but it's not. It's only 7 money. I do want the last two nobles'. Where are my governors? Is he's gonna ghost ship me and I have to top deck these golds. I don't even have a rebuild this time to fix that problem. There we go, okay. So here I have to top deck 3 golds, my governor draws those, then I can play nobles for action, nobles for draw. Yeah, okay, this is starting to look good now. Now I've got some governors in my hand. I was worried there for a second. I feel like our decks are relatively in similar positions, but I feel like I fumbled that last turn a little bit. I don't know what the best play was, but I feel like I didn't find it. With governors and remodels and rebuilds, this province pile is going to drain super fast, like incredibly fast. And that poses a concern. How many provinces can I realistically take? Like, I think I could do 5 or 6 provinces if I weren't ghost ship attacked, but I'm sure he's going to ghost ship attack me. And so, spending most of my governors on draw, it's hard to say. Yeah, there it is. Oof. Top deck 6 cards. That is brutal. The order doesn't matter too much as long as I'm leaving some governors around. So like I got 2 remodel plays, which can be 2 provinces. Rebuild for a province, that's 3. Maybe buy a province, 4. I don't think I will have enough draw to have like 2 governors left over. Oh, maybe I could do 5. I'm not sure. We'll see if I can't do 5. Now, how many of those could just be milling provinces? I would need to score 14 points. And that's for a tie. 15 points. So I could afford to mill 2 of the provinces. Let me think about whether I can do that. So buy a province, remodel, rebuild. 4. I need to play 1 governor as a remodel if I want a chance to do 5 provinces. So I've got 4 total nobles in my deck, and I'm wanting to play 3 terminal actions, right? Ghost ship, remodel. So I need to. I think I can afford to draw with one of these nobles. Is it what's the plural? Like it's already pluralized. Like a single of this card is just nobles. So does that make the plural also nobles? Or is the plural like nobles as I don't know. Unclear. I don't like when the cards are pluralized, like gardens. We have a gardens. Then what do you say when you have more than one of the gardens? I wish it was noble garden. Uh, Anyways, there's a game going on. I think about it. So yeah, if I play one of these for draw, I will still have enough actions to play both remodels and the ghost ship. So I'll do that. And I can play 1 more governor for draw. Okay, now let me think. So in my discard is a silver. I think that's it, right? So these bottom two cards are Pouch and the other nobles. So if I draw, Pouch and nobles, then I would have 10 money in my hand, which is an awkward number if I plan on buying a province. That would leave me with 3 golds in hand. What if I don't play the ghost ship? What if I remodel nobles instead? Let me think about that line. Supposing I draw with governor, now I have a hand with, 2 nobles is in it, and I would have 9, 10, 12 money. I could governor a nobles into a province. I could play 1 nobles for action. I could turn 2 of the golds into provinces, and then I could rebuild province into province. But then I think I'm just a hair short on money, right? If I do, instead I would have 9, 10, 12, and yet I have 6 money instead of 8 money. So that doesn't quite cut it. Ooh. So what if I play 1 nobles for action, draw with ghost ship, remodel nobles with governor. Then I can't play both remodels. This is real close. I think no matter what, I gotta play one of these for plus action because I want to play both remodels. So if I want to do 5 provinces, both remodels have to gain a province. The rebuild can mill a province, can buy a province, and then this governor has to get me. One of the 2 governors has to get me a province, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. The tricky part is I have 9, 10. Even if I get the silver into my hand, I only have 12 money to work with, which means I can only turn 1 gold into a province. I need to remodel 3 things. That's the tricky part. It's so close. It's so dang close. Wait, so if I draw with 1 governor, then I have 12 money in hand. I remodel a nobles into a province. So I play the ghost ship. I have a nobles left in hand. I only have 10 money in hand. Could that work if I play both governors as remodels? I don't think so, right? Let me consider. I think I'm going to play the ghost ship. So again, if I want 5 provinces, I've got ability to buy 1. I don't think I could reasonably buy 2. I could gain golds and theoretically get to 16, but that would be way too much work to justify doing. So if I want to do 5 provinces, I need both remodels to gain a province. I need the rebuild to gain a province. I need 1 governor to gain a province. And at least 3 of those provinces need to be genuine, right? 18 plus 8 is 26 points, which should be enough even if he manages to last minute remodel a thing or 2. He only has 1 4-cost card, so he can gain 1 duchy, but that wouldn't be enough. So if I were to remodel gold into province, rebuild province into province, that's 2 down. I draw with 1 governor. I remodel province into province. Wait a second. I think about that. What if I governor a gold into a province? I rebuild province into province, then I draw. And then I could rebuild 1 more province into province and buy a province, and then I'm 2 coins short still. Maybe I just do province and 2 duchies then. And that gives me 12 points, and then hopefully they can't do quintuple province. I guess I'll try that. This is worrisome because it does mean I'm top decking some number of not very good cards. Now, this only means they have to do quad province. This is a concern, to say the least. I think this is not a bad starting hand though. Having the rebuild in starting hand means, if I get a turn, I can clear off a bunch of bad cards. Oh, and they dudded. That's great news for me. Of course, I could dud here too. No win in hand yet? Or is there a win in hand? Could this be win in hand? I governor nobles, that's one province. I remodel gold, that's a province. I rebuild and name duchy, that's a province. Then I buy, that's a province. That's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, this works. This definitely works. Well, after a lot of thinking, I just won because they dudded, but a win's a win. That was stressful. I think if they had an optimal turn, I would have lost. Like I think their deck could, with the right draws, do 4 provinces pretty easily. Like I was doing 4 provinces easily and was really close to 5. Maybe there was a 5 province line that I missed. And our decks were similar in terms of their compositions. Okay, rebuild again. The straight up rebuild rush actually looks more viable here because, I mean, this kingdom is otherwise very weak. There's also dukes, so you could rebuild into duchies and then gain dukes. And there's giant as an attack. Let me consider building for a second. I don't think building's an option. You can't thin. The way you would theoretically be able to thin is by setting stuff aside on your native village mat. But then native village is also the only village. So if you wanted to build, you'd have to eventually play those native villages consistently every turn. You either set aside too much stuff or you'd be forced to pick up the junk again. If there was like native village as a supplemental village and then some other village, like village or blessed village or whatever, then maybe you could try to thin with native village, draw with imps off of Devil's Workshop, and then play like a giant or two. But I think that's not really viable here. Bandit Fort makes silvers and golds obviously very bad, but there's Fool's Gold that you could consider going for. So I think for sure rebuild will come up. I mean, you got these estates that you can't otherwise trash. You're happy to turn them into duchies. I'm not sure if you're then going for dukes or provinces, but something along those lines looks good. Does that mean you're just going more or less straight at a bunch of rebuilds? Not so sure of that. I could easily see a bunch of dungeons and some fool's golds, letting you buy a few provinces outright, and that being an improvement over straight rebuild. So maybe you get 1 or 2 rebuilds for dealing with these estates, and then spend a number of these buys on fool's golds, and then some dungeons to line them up. I think that sounds like a plan. So I'm thinking Devil's Workshop for gains to get me more dungeons and fool's golds faster, and then dungeon. That sounds right to me. And then I think rebuild on 5s, fool's golds and dungeons in some composition otherwise. Fortune Teller, okay. So they're, I think, probably going more straight for rebuild. Fortune Teller was more likely to get you to 5, and then you'll get the rebuild faster. Not sure if the attack hurts. Once I get a rebuild in the deck, the Fortune Teller attack won't hurt much because you can. Actually, no, it might still hurt a little bit. I was gonna say like if you've got a green card top deck, you can just play a rebuild first before playing your dungeon, and then clear that green card off the top. But if you have a dungeon that was already played last turn and in play, it's going to draw you cards immediately before you can play your rebuild. Then the Fortune Teller might minorly interfere with that. But by the same token, if you've got a dungeon in play, you'll be able to sift right through it. So I don't think the attack hurts much, but it probably hurts a little. And maybe there's an off chance that one particular play could hurt a lot. This is a great starting hand for me, though. Very happy to see both the dungeon and the Devil's Workshop in the starting hand, because I will trigger a shuffle next turn, which will have that Devil's Workshop plus whatever I buy back in the shuffle. I think I'm probably taking second dungeon and a Fool's Gold. Could probably be 2 more dungeons already. I don't think I need 2 Devil's Workshops. I mean, I get a bunch of imps, but I don't know if I value the imps that much. Could be dungeon and scheme. Do I want a fortune teller? Like, none of the things I wanted to get are really terminal action cards. And so I could consider a fortune teller myself. I think I'm not so hot on the fortune teller because I will likely have it in a hand that has the Devil's Workshop. Then fortune teller Devil's Workshop's only going to hit 5 if I have no coppers in hand, or nothing but coppers in hand, like no estates, and also don't play a dungeon that turn. Not so sure that's likely. So I'm thinking maybe like dungeon fool's gold. I could get a scheme now as well. Scheme the dungeons. So definitely one more dungeon. And yeah, sure, I'll take the scheme. Oh, there we go. That's an example of a fortune teller tag that actually hurt a bunch. They triggered the shuffle before I could, and then flipped the Devil's Workshop and the scheme and the dungeon before finding the last estate. That was a little painful. Yeah, so they're doing a little bit more monolithic rebuildy things. We'll see if my plan to build a Tad pans out or not. And just more Fool's Gold, I think. I could take one more dungeon. I think just more Fool's Golds. And I can't top deck dungeons because they're in play. I'll top deck the scheme, which will then allow me to top deck one of these dungeons when it comes out of play next turn. So they did skip over my Devil's Workshop and my Fool's Gold. But I have one more in there, which I found. Do I just buy Province already? I mean, this is the sort of kingdom where you could just green absurdly early if you wanted to. I think Rebuild's still better for my deck than Province is. Like, it'll score me 1 points over the long term. Seems likely. They lined up Rebuild and Scheme, which is nice for them. This is not a bad draw. I think I'm just buying second Rebuild now. And one more Fool's Gold. Could be one more dungeon. The dungeons sure are valuable. I think I'll take one more Fool's Gold. They might have Fortune Teller in hand, and it might flip my Rebuild. Be a little bit sad if it does. So they're for sure going to have the points lead, and this game's going to end relatively fast because Rebuild does kind of really burn through the province pile. And that is a concern. I hope that my deck will be of a slightly higher quality, be able to buy a few more green cards in the end game, and that will make enough of a difference. They did not flip my Rebuild. I believe playing Rebuild before playing the draw card is better, because at the very least, it guarantees that one of my green cards ends up in the discard rather than in the deck. Take that dungeon now. And Scheming Rebuild seems best. Do I want to try to go for Dukes? Does that make sense? I think with 2 rebuilds, I run the serious concern that they're just going to start trashing my duchies before I really want them to. Um, And I think buy duchy here is better than buying a third rebuild. That fortune teller has actually done more damage than I was expecting. I think it's one of those bottom tier cards that usually is pretty ignorable, and in this particular case, it seems to have flipped a whole lot of good cards. Like, look at this: 2 fool's golds, scheme, 3 dungeons. Flipping the copper is a good thing, but that's like 6 of my cards that just happen to be on top. I think that is an atypically good fortune teller in this particular case. Yeah, I mean, these draws are just going to kill me. I have more dungeons than they do, and they're playing theirs more often. Okay, I think I'm pretty lost here. They got 2 schemes down and a rebuild, so they're going to be playing rebuild. Or 3 schemes and a rebuild, so they're going to be playing rebuild like every single turn for the next 3 turns. This hand is horrible, and it doesn't even have a dungeon in it, so I'm not really seeing it for next hand. I might have to consider a state now. I think I have to get some dukes to have any chance of winning this game. I'm not sure exactly what happened here. I feel like my draws in that last shuffle or two didn't feel great. That fortune teller did a whole lot of damage. Didn't do the damage this time, but there were a few plays there where it really felt nasty. I'm not sure if I was underestimating it or if it was just like abnormally good. I mean, generally it's considered a bottom tier card. So I named Duchy here to hit the estates. I got 4 duchies. Okay. We'll see if I can't do something here. Like, I was really expecting my hands to have a lot more reliability to them. When I have 3 dungeons on my deck, I play 1 each turn. I use the scheme to make sure I've got 1 top deck when it's coming out of play. And I don't know, they just haven't really lined up in a particularly helpful way. Probably just don't need the Devil's... Well, maybe I take the Devil's Workshop. I could gain an estate off of it. We'll see what I draw. Okay. I probably just buy Province here, and then I probably lose, right? Yeah, they have 1 rebuild top deck. So there's a very good chance I'm just losing here, but I mean, if I don't score a bunch of points, I'm also losing, so we're gonna take a risk. If they have that other rebuild in hand, they just win. Ooh, they hit state. Draw rebuild, please. I think if I had a rebuild, I win here. Okay. Got 1 more chance. Get to see 3 more cards. Rebuild. Oh, why are you doing this to me? Oh, this is painful. They have top deck to rebuild. They didn't see the other rebuild last turn, so it's getting increasingly likely that they find both here. What if I do Province Estate? That gives me 7 points. I go up to 34. Then, if they turn a duchy into a province, they can't buy a state, and that would be a losing tie for them because the estates would be empty. If they could do duchy and province and buy duke, that would be a win for them, but I'm not sure how likely their deck is to hit 5. I think it's kind of unlikely. How many... Now, the problem is... The big problem is they can just turn duke into province, and that'll score them more than 3 points. Because I think they've trashed all their duchies at this point. So I think estate province is losing here. because they will. Well, I could take a gamble, right? So, what's in their deck? There were 6 starting estates. 7 have been gained. There's 13 total estates. There's 11 in the trash. There's 2 estates in our respective decks. At least one's in their deck because they just bought it. But that means that one's almost certainly not on top. Like, they have to name province, but then I think they're more likely than not to hit Duke if they do name province, right? Yeah, they got 3 Dukes. And it seems really likely that these cards have a Duke in them. And so if I take a province, they'll trash Duke into province and win. So I think maybe I'm doing. So I could do Duke and estate. That loses if they can do 2 Dukes, but I think if they could do 2 Dukes, they can do 2 provinces anyway. Because that probably means they have 2 rebuilds, in which case they can just name a state and guarantee they hit province twice. So if I do Duke estate, I think I'm in a position where if they don't find both rebuilds, I might win. I guess I should consider, like, does not taking the estate help me at all? Could. If they do yeah, so it means I don't lose to double Duke. But I think the only scenario where they could ever do double Duke is one where they could also do double province. But then does the 1 extra point help me? It might. I probably want to scheme a dungeon. Alright, please don't have both rebuilds. Let's see what they do. Okay, they hit a Duke. That's really bad news for me. Because that scores them a lot of points. Okay, though they had both rebuilds anyway, so okay, that's lost. Oh well. I do think I liked my strategy better this game. I lost, but I was player 2, and I had some really rough draws in the middle there. And so, given that it was pretty close, and I was like 1 marginal draw there away from winning, I am going to say probably the slightly less direct rebuild line seems better. Maybe I could have incorporated a fortune teller. Like it did feel like it hurt me a lot. But I'm not sure if that means on average the fortune teller matters a lot. All right, 1-1. What have we got here? There's no villages whatsoever. Seems like the biggest deal. There's pathfinding, which is good draw, but it's the only draw. So you probably want to pick one of these stacks of cantrips and put pathfinding on it so you can get a bunch of labs. Then you're playing 1 terminal per turn, which is, I don't know, probably Haggler? So you can buy province and gain something off of it. Could be artisan. There's raise for trashing. There's mercenary for trashing. Oh, we do have a village. We have necropolis. So you can play 2 terminals per turn, provided you don't trash your necropolis, which might be worth it. Yeah, I think it is. Like, imagine on the penultimate turn you buy a province and haggle 2 capitals, or on the final turn you artisan for 2 capitals. That would be a big late game swing in money. So, yeah, I think what we want to do is get thin fast, throw the pathfinding token on one of these stacks of actions, not sure which one. And then not really sure about Haggler versus Artisan here. You could also do Overlord as Wine Merchant is not a bad one. Overlord can play Wine Merchant and you get the 4 coins and 1 buy, but you don't put it on your tavern map because Wine Merchant wouldn't be in play. And so there'd be nothing to put on the tavern map, so you're just getting the upside with none of the downside. Yeah, so I think like the general sense of the deck is very clear. Some of the details are elusive. I'm not sure what the best of those 3 terminal options is: Overlord, Haggler, Artisan. And how do you open? I mean, Double Urchin is kind of a natural open. get mercenary fast, and then you play it a bunch. Could do something like Urchin Overlord, and if they collide, I play the Overlord as an Urchin, which can trigger the first Urchin. And then if they don't collide, I play it as Wine Merchant or something, or maybe Raise. That sounds pretty good, right? I think I like this Urchin Overlord idea. The downside of this is I'll be in debt next turn, and I'm not likely to hit a big number next turn, but there are some like cheap action cards I wouldn't mind buying. That's gonna reduce my ability to do that. I think I still like this. I still don't know which of these action cards here I really want to put the pathfinding token on. Maybe Vagrant, it's the cheapest one to acquire. So I think I'm in the lead here because it looks like I will trash my Urchin for Mercenary and they will not. That having been said, I don't think the lead is huge because they did the Urchin Overlord thing, and the non-collision scenario is still not bad. You get to play your Overlord as Wine Merchant or something, and that's still pretty good. So Raise, Vagrant, Overlord seem like the options. I want to get to 8 real soon. I think I'm going to take Raise. I want to thin fast. This is an excellent hand. Absolutely beautiful hand. Could be better, of course. If I had the Hovel and or the Overgrown Estate, that'd be even better. But having Necropolis and Mercenary and 2 things to trash is still really good. Okay. So they've already got a Harbinger. They've also got an extra Urchin. So they might be going for one of those piles for pathfinding purposes. I don't think I really want to borrow. Actually, borrowing here would not be so bad because I'm likely to get attacked anyway, right? Because they didn't play an Urchin last turn, and they've got 2 Urchins in their deck. So it seems really likely they're going to Urchin there. Maybe 2 of them even. So I'm going to have a 4-card hand either way. The benefit of not borrowing is I could get a choice of what not to discard. So down there I have Overlord, Overgrown Estate, I've trashed 2 coppers. I see 2 coppers. So Overlord, Overgrown Estate, 3 coppers. Yeah, I mean, I could just not borrow here, and then it guarantees I see both the Overlord and the Overgrown Estate, and I could play Overlord as Raise and trigger this shuffle, which I probably do want to trigger. Or alternatively, with 3 coppers, I could do Overlord as a Wine Merchant, borrow by Pathfinding next turn. That sounds really good, right? So I could just like buy Vagrant now and put Pathfinding on Vagrant. Is Vagrant the best target? The benefit of Vagrant is it'll be the easiest to acquire many copies of because it's the cheapest to buy. The Urchin attack is like non-trivial. Once I stop mercenarying them, I probably want to have an Urchin in my deck just to attack them every turn. I think Vagrant feels right. So I was just saying Wine Merchant for Pathfinding. I could also raise here, trigger a shuffle, likely get back to my Mercenary, and then do the Pathfinding thing next turn. That might just be better. Did I say find my Mercenary? I meant don't find my Mercenary. Okay, well, just more Vagrants. I have been attacked. I think I'm discarding Raise. Like, I need to have 2 junk at least to trash the Mercenary, and I'm not seeing it being very likely to get like 3 junk and be able to trash Raise as well. So I've still got my Necropolis. I will still be able to play 2 terminals per turn. Pretty soon that's not going to be my Mercenary anymore. Once I'm thin, that's going to run its course. One will be Overlord, which will probably be from Wine Merchant. I think I'm feeling Haggler as the second terminal. I think Overlord and Haggler, you play one as Wine Merchant, play Haggler as Haggler, and then try to buy like 2 provinces and gain some stuff off of them. And I think this is just Vagrant. No point playing it as Urchin because the Mercenary is going to attack him anyway. No point playing it as Harbinger because I don't want to top deck the raise. So Haggler now? Maybe it's not too early for Haggler. The downside of Haggler is it's not going to be useful to turn on by Pathfinding, which is hopefully going to be next turn. So I could also take Capital. Capital's plus buy, which I'll probably need to pick up Vagrants. And it guarantees I get to 8. It gives me ridiculous amounts of money. The Haggler is the card I'm more want in my deck in general, though. What's its bottom card? My raise. So in terms of stop cards, I don't have a whole lot, right? It seems pretty likely that I get to play Mercenary and Overlord as Wine Merchant. I think just Haggler seems good. And now here, I might just discard it. Because I do want to play the Mercenary at least one more time. Oof. Oof. It's not great. So I can't pick up the Mercenary here, because I don't want to trash my Necropolis. I value that too much. So perhaps the Capital would have been the better call. Not sure. Wine Merchant. Urchant Vagrant. The Urchant is... I get my Urchant. the idea that Urchin is to attack them consistently. Because probably this turn will be the last turn I play this Mercenary. And then I'll still want to hit him with a discard attack of some sort every turn. I don't know. I was loving my position a second ago. I feel like that last turn didn't go quite as planned. I was really thinking I was going to be able to play Mercenary and also play Overlord. But perhaps that was overly optimistic. Discarding Haggler again. The fact that I keep discarding the Haggler voluntarily out of my hand is definitely making me think the Haggler might have been premature. Okay, so they've got Pathfinding down. Please find Necropolis. Pretty please. Please find... There we go. I think this means I don't hit 8 here. Which honestly might not be the biggest deal ever. Like I need Pathfinding at some point soon, but my deck is super thin. So maybe this turn I don't need it so much. Okay, I've got 5 money. Probably borrow here for 6 money. And then do like a 6 and a 5. Maybe hoard and capital. I probably need to get Erase back at some point soon, because I do want to kill this Mercenary. Like, I don't plan on playing it ever again, I don't think. I could just play the Overlord as Raise a few times. Though that feels a little silly. I could do, like, Hoard Wine Merchant here, maybe? And then play the Overlord as Raise, and then play Haggler and Wine Merchant as my terminals, and then just maybe not pick up the Wine Merchant again. So my deck has how many stop cards in it? Copper, Haggler, Mercenary, Necropolis, probably Overlord. That's 5, and I have no draw yet. I guess I do kind of need to draw pretty fast. Okay, I think we're gonna do Horde Capital. I need to get to 8 here. This gets me to 8. This gets me to 9. 9 isn't really better than 8 for my purposes, except that, I mean, it saves me 1 debt. If I gotta hit like 11 or something, that would have been good. I wonder, I could borrow here to do Pathfinding and Vagrant, right? Yeah. That would come with a copper, which is annoying, but, adding a lab and a copper is like adding a peddler, and so it's probably better than not doing it. Like, would I be willing to take 1 debt to put a peddler in my deck? I think so. Borrow, Pathfinding, Vagrant, copper. Okay, I don't know where I stand. Both got 4 labs. I think I'm thinner, not sure about that. I already have a Horde, a Capital, and a Haggler, so I think I'm in the lead. But it's their turn, and they're not in debt, so they might quickly close that gap right now. Probably discard Urchin. And my tendency is to discard Overlord, because I want it to be a terminal action card, and you want to discard your terminals and draw back to them. But I think this is safer, because if I, for some reason, don't draw, I can play this Overlord as a Vagrant if I need to. Yeah, so they still have a lot more coppers than me, which I think is the biggest downside. So they'll need to be playing their Mercenary a little while longer. Not that that's horrible. I mean, that means they get to Mercenary tap me a bit more. But I think it makes it not safe for them to add. Oh, I was about to say not safe to add another terminal like Haggler because they'll be able to play it all. Maybe they'll just play their Overlord as a Harbinger for the next few turns, and like that makes total sense. Is that bottom card a copper? That's a little bit annoying. So I think I'm just playing the Overlord as a cantrip or something, draw the copper, trash 2 coppers. Let me think about that. So I'm in 6 debt. The capital will pay off the debt from the last capital. Then I would have 2 from Haggler, 4 with Horde, 5 with copper. No, not 5 with copper, 5 trash it. So I have 2 Haggler, 4 Horde, 6 from the Mercenary. So I gotta have 6 money. Alternatively, I could hold off on trashing copper 1 more turn. Just play Necropolis, Overlord as Wine Merchant, Haggler. Then I have the 6 debt cancels out. 2, 4, 5, 9. Perhaps that's better. What do I do with 9? A little short of wanting to buy Province. Like I could do Province Vagrant, but I'd be taking copper again. With 9, I could do Duchy, gain Vagrant, Harbinger, gain Vagrant. I'd gain a gold off the Duchy. Might just trash the Duchy again, who knows. I think I definitely like the line that gives me more money. If I add a bunch of Vagrants, I'll still be able to draw, and I can trash these coppers next turn. I do have 3 buys. So I could just do, like, some number of Silvers and Harbingers, gaining Vagrants off of them, and add 3 labs to my deck. It's not bad. I think that sounds pretty good, right? Just add 3 labs right now. I think I'm not sure if I discard capital here or not. Like, I definitely want to keep the copper because if I draw my Mercenary and Necropolis, want to be able to trash it and draw on. I think I'm going to discard the silver. I'm imagining a scenario where, like, if I fully dud, I probably want the capital so I can at least buy something. And if I have one of the scenarios where I have, like, Necropolis, Mercenary, Nowhere, draw cards, well, chances are I've probably hit at least one more copper in the process of doing that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have dudded. Okay, well, that's not good news. Goodness, this is terrible. I do want to top deck the silver, because whatever I draw, I'm drawing dead. So it might as well be a treasure. This is a bad dud. Have I squandered my lead? Well, squandered implies it was like a voluntary misstep on my part. I think this might have just been misfortune. In any case, so I could do, 2 more Harbingers, 2 more Vagrants. That does lower piles a bit, but they don't have a huge number of gains. They only have 1 buy. Why am I confused? Confused by something. I guess I just had less money than I thought I did. Whatever. As has been established in previous matches in this tournament. Not always great with the arithmetic. Did I have 4 money when I thought I had 6? I'm assuming is what happened. Yeah, I guess that must have been it. So my Necropolis is somewhere down here, so I want to lead with the Vagrants. If I play Urchin first and then play Vagrant, there's a guarantee it doesn't hit Necropolis. Here we go, that worked out. And it looks like they had a weak turn there as well, right? Yeah, for having played 3 Laboratories at the top, that was not an amazing payoff at the end there. Okay. This Mercenary is awkward. Like, I want to trash it, but that involves playing the Overlord as something other than a terminal action card, which I don't want to do. I could play it and just trash, like, 2 Harbingers or something to get an attack, but then I'm not playing both the Haggler and the Overlord. So it's probably best just to not play the Mercenary and live with it being in my deck and kind of useless. So if I play Overlord as Wine Merchant, I have 6 money, 8, 10, 12, 18, minus 5, 13 money. That's not a bad number. And then I could gain like 2 Vagrants or a Vagrant and a Raise. They have 1 Haggler. They have up to 3 buys because they have a Capital and an Overlord. So yeah, I think I would prefer a Vagrant Raise then over double Vagrant because maybe there's some scenario where they manage to buy like triple Duchy and then take 6 Urchins off of it. I don't need to take that risk. So I'm thinking Province Duchy, gaining Vagrant and Raise. It's annoying being in debt. I don't like that. But I mean, the alternative would be buying like double Duchy or something. They take less debt, and I think Province is worth it. Now the tricky part is going to be identifying what the penultimate turn is, because I want to gain a bunch of capitals right before winning, like haggle some capitals the previous turn, so as to be able to have a massive turn the final turn. But you don't want to do that before the penultimate turn, because if you play a bunch of capitals and don't end the game immediately. You're in a ton of debt, and then you're stuck. So I don't think I wanted to do it quite yet. My draw here is also not infinite. I've got a bunch of vagrants, but if I take enough golds off of these provinces, the combination of the golds and the victory cards might be enough to cause a dud. Not sure about discarding Horde there. Again, it was a similar logic of like, what if I happen to draw Mercenary and Necropolis? I need to draw one. I'd rather kill the silvers. And I was just talking about how gaining a bunch of golds is not necessarily an amazing thing. Okay, yeah, so they're taking a bunch of capitals, probably hoping to end the game next turn. I sure hope they don't succeed. It's nice, at least, like, it doesn't help me at all, except peace of mind, but I like it when I see the vagrants on top, because I know my lab's going to find another lab. Okay, so I did make it to the end of my deck. So I probably just trashed the mercenary here then with the raise. Seems best. Surely don't need it. I mean, the other alternative is to play this mercenary one more time and hopefully force a dud. I don't think the mercenary attack actually hurts them that much, because like even though they have 4 good cards in hand, their main draw here is Harbinger. So like, if they're forced to discard a Harbinger, they can just top deck the Harbinger again, and that's not going to hurt that badly. I don't necessarily want the golds, but I do want the 2 money off of Horde. Don't die. So like, this is 10 without factoring in the debt. So this is a bit of a tricky situation, I think, because I really want more capitals, but I also want to buy duchies to be safe, because they can do a decent number of provinces here, I think. And if I buy duchies, I can't gain capitals off of Hagler. They've got 3 capitals. That's a lot. Yeah, like if they draw their deck, they might win here. I don't think I can really play around them having a massive turn, because if they find their Hagler and their capitals, even if they don't hit 32, if they could just take duchies and empty urchins and vagrants off of it. So I'm in a sticky situation, I think. I was feeling good early in this game. I guess that dud hurt me. Not getting the full turn kind of sucked. I don't know exactly where I lost the lead. But now I think I'm in trouble unless they dud, which I mean they still could. But if they have 8 Harbingers, they'll see most of these cards. They should be able to draw most of them. If they find their capitals, I'm in a world of hurt. So I think I have to take a province. I don't think I can play around them triple provincing, because like if I took no provinces and they bought 3 provinces, I think they had a big enough points lead that it wouldn't matter that they hadn't technically ended the game. So I probably have to take 1 province regardless and hope they can't triple. And yeah, this is a really awkward situation, because the vagrant urchin piles are also kind of low, and they have a bunch of plus buy all of a sudden. So to pile those out, I guess that's not so trivial, is it? They only get the 1 haggler. I was thinking it was easier, but now that I think about it, piling vagrant and urchin is not at all trivial for them. So like I could take 2 duchies here and take 2 raises off of it. I could take a vagrant even maybe. Yeah, I don't know why I was so worried about the urchin pilot. The more I think about this, I think that was just an unreasonable thing for me to say, right? Like 6 urchins requires them to buy 6 things, which they can't do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, they can't. So I think I can safely take this last vagrant. I don't know what I was talking about earlier with pile-outs. So maybe just Duchy Vagrant and then pay off most of my debt. That leaves me with 4 buys. If they double, I could do Province, Duchy Estate. It's not simple, but I think it's my best shot. There's like Duchy Vagrant, nothing else here. I don't think buying capital is better than nothing. Like, you're spending 5 and you'll get 6 back, but you're also getting a stop card that could cause you to dud. I think this is it. I could have borrowed there for the ability to pay off one more debt, and because I'm probably gonna have a 4-card hand anyway if they play their Urchin. But I think that there is still a meaningful difference, especially when my deck has a bunch of stop cards in it now, between seeing like the best 4 of my top 5 cards and just seeing my top 4 cards. Like if that card that's 5th from the top is a Vagrant, I'm much happier to be able to discard a junk card and have that in hand. And so I think keeping this 1 debt is worth the marginal decrease in likelihood of dudding. They're playing a lot of Harbingers. I hope they stop doing that. Stop! No more Harbingers. These are Harbingers of ill fortune. This is an indication that they're less likely to dud, and I need them to dud. I think if they find everything, they just do triple province. Please stop drawing cards. Stop! Please, no more. Like the more they play, the less likely it gets, I think, over time that they dud, because they're more likely to found additional Harbingers. Yeah, I think I just lost the game as player 1. That's not good. There must have been some mistake there in the middle game, I think. Like, I didn't have amazing draws, but I had reasonably good draws on the whole. Like, there's like a bad draw or two. But I got an early lead, I think, colliding my Urchin and my Overlord. And I think I was ahead for a second there. And at some point, floundered it. I think it might have been that Haggler buy. Like, that just didn't work out the way I anticipated. I think maybe the Haggler should have just been capital, get Pathbinding sooner, and then get around to adding the Haggler for gains. That's my guess. I think maybe I lost a bit of an edge at that point in the game. Of course, they're still thinking here, so whatever's in their hand, it's not a trivial win. Maybe they don't hit 28. Like, they have 3 capitals, that's 18 right there. They have a decent number of golds in there, and they just need to find 10 more money total. Their Overlord can be a wine energy for 4. They got a Haggler, which is worth 2. If they've seen this much of their deck already, I think it's reasonably likely that they will get to 28. Or 27 even, because there's Borrow. So they just need 27 with 3 buys. And with this much of their deck, I feel like that's likely. Not too surprised by that. So they might not have found all their Harbingers, but look, they draw 2 more here with Mercenary. It means they can't play their Haggler, but like I actually don't think that's a huge deal for them. The Haggler at this point in the game is only 2 money. If it's the final turn, you don't really care about the gains. And so Mercenary gives you 2 money and 2 draw. Haggler just gives you 2 money. Makes total sense for them to play Mercenary here, draw 2 more cards. Well, oh my goodness. Yeah, so it looks like they got it, didn't they? Yep. Well, just barely there, but they did out. Okay, well, that's bad news for me. I'm now down 2-1 and going into a player 2 game. What do we have here? No villages. We're getting some kingdoms that are like really light on villages. It's getting worse and worse over time. Game one, the only village was nobles, which not exactly a strong village. Game two is just necropolis, which is even worse. You have literally one village. Now we have literally 0 villages to work with. Oh wait, no, I skipped one. Oh no, there's a rebuild game in there which had villages. We did have native villages, but we didn't use them because it was bad in that case. Not a whole lot of plus action has been gained over the course of this match. I'll say it that way. So, anyways, I mean, you could do a stack of minions, and that's always a thing. It's not a thing I love doing, and there's not a whole lot of support for it. Like, none of these actions really jive with it because they're mostly terminal, and so you can't play them in between playing minions. Groundskeeper will be a lot of points, which encourages building. If you're not doing the minions, though, how are you drawing? This is weird. It's like you can get a big stack of groundskeepers, and then what do? You can play a bunch of minions and just get like 2 coins, 2 coins, 2 coins, pitch your hand, draw again. But then, where's your plus buy coming from? You had like a charm or two. Well, that's awkward because if you draw the charm anywhere but the final minion, well then you just got to pitch it again. Minion doesn't play very well with treasures. You can play Falconer at the end of your turn. That doesn't sound great. But then, like, if you're not doing the stack of minions, then what's the alternative? There's no other draw except zombie apprenticing an action every turn, and like, how are you getting actions to trash? That's awkward. There's trashing with both Zombie Mason and Way of the Goat, which will probably be worth doing, because with so limited draw, you want to get thin. If you're not in the stack of minions, you're just playing with like a 4-card starting hand if they minion you. Maximum, you increase that to 5 with the Zombie Apprentice, and then that's also not doing a whole lot. So I think the minions do sound worth it. So I'm thinking stack of minions, 1 or 2 charms, and then you're trying to buy like minion gain groundskeeper with the charms, while thinning with zombie mason or way of the goat as much as possible. And then you start greening once you got a bunch of groundskeepers, something like that. I have the 5-2, which I did not even know. I don't think I want Fool's Gold on 2. It seems pretty bad here. If I've concluded that minion's good, I don't want treasures. So what do I take? Well, I definitely don't want Scouting Party because that'll pitch my $5 hand. As for the terminal, I could take Falconer, which would be great if they buy a 2-type card. Hmm. If I take Falconer and they hit 5 on the turn that I have Falconer in hand, they'll buy a minion, probably, maybe Falconer, and then I can activate it. And then I take a Necromancer off of that and trash something. That sounds good. Falconer won't necessarily be amazing later on, though, because it's not like a huge number of cheap things I want to gain. Once I have Groundskeepers, I could gain Islands, which would be good. I could take Charm directly or Minion. If they didn't already have a Necromancer, I'd be a little bit more inclined towards Falconer or mine or something where I could trash it later with Zombie Apprentice and then still play it with my Necromancer. But that's powering up their Necromancer just as much. So what am I doing? I think I like the Falconer. They did not activate it for me. How sad. I think I might just trash the estate and buy Scouting Party. You could also buy Harbinger. Harbinger's not a bad card with minions because you're going to pitch good cards you might want to top deck later. But these cards aren't very good. Unless I bottom deck in a... Oh, even if I bottom deck in a state. There's no way I'm hitting 5 in that hand. So I think I like Scouting Party better. I think I like trashing a state more than I like gaining a card. Zombie Spy was an interesting choice. I'd expect you to want to trash every turn that you can. Because you're only trashing one card per turn, either Way of the Goat or Zombie Mason. Or, I mean, Mine, whatever. Like, they're all terminal. And so you really want to get thin. You only trash one per turn. Any turn where you're not playing something to trash is maybe setting you back. But I guess you really wanted to hit 5 here. Aha, you've activated my trap card. I think Necromancer played a Zombie Mason sounds best. I just said I want to trash every turn. Also triggers a shuffle, which gets my Necromancer and my Falconer back into the shuffle. And maybe even hits an estate, right? There's only one estate down there, so this isn't super likely. But it could hit estate, right? Right? Nope. Okay. Don't gain. But I'd rather buy Harbinger or Scouting Party. I think Scouting Party, right? Triggers a shuffle, guarantees my Falconer's on top again. This is all junk. No, I'm not super jazzed about seeing both estates on top. Okay, so I do need to start in on minions soon. I don't want to lose that split too badly. But actually, I mean, I can't get to 5 here because I got these 2 estates in hand. Even if I took a silver, I would only draw a copper off of Necromancer, which is not enough. I'm definitely activating this. If I take an action card and pitch it with Zombie Apprentice, that still only hits 4, right? Like the rest of these cards are just all coppers. I could take Island and then just set aside an estate. That's, I mean, about what I would do anyway if I just played it as Zombie, or not a zombie, is Way of the Goat, but it would come with 3 more points. I think I like that. All right, I need to get 5 now, but I will get 5 here, so it should be fine. And I do want to buy a charm with that 5, I think. Discard that. Yeah, I think I just take a silver and take a charm. I mean, it could be minion first. I'm not sure if that's better than just taking charm. I think I prefer the charm. But not mind getting minion attacked here. I think that's kind of likely. If they have both minions in their hand, they'll probably pitch with 1. This is a coin short of what I really wanted. I wanted to have like 5 plus the charm. But I can live with just buying minion. I guess the sad part is I'm not going to trash anything this turn. And I do want to trash as much as I can. Oof, do I take a... Well, it might not matter if they just... Yeah, they discarded. I was contemplating taking a second silver to get double 5s there, which, might be worth it. But comes with the downside of you don't really want the silver in your deck. All of a sudden, I am getting increasingly unhappy with how this game is going. I thought I was more likely to hit 5 than I guess I was. Like, I've trashed a decent number of my estates, 2 of the 3, whereas they've trashed none. But it has not succeeded in getting me to 5. And now I'm way behind on the minions. Let's take the 2 coins, guaranteed 5 by minion. By pitch, I think I'm basically guaranteed to hit 5 if I pitch. Yeah, I mean, not again, not the ideal. I drew the charm, but can't do anything with it. But I hit 5 at least. I think I'm actually in a ton of trouble here, aren't I? Okay, this is really good news. So if they didn't dud there, I was likely to lose this minion split 7-3, I think. Like they buy one, I buy one, they buy one, and then I've got 7 total, which is not great. But now, provided I hit 5, I'll get 2 of the last 3, and I'll have lost it 6-4, which isn't good, but it's better than 7-3. I think I'm killing this now. I can't not hit 5 here. It's not an option. I think I just want to trash the estate with this. I really want to trash things. I mean, if I play it, I would get a groundskeeper. That might be worth it. So I play Harbinger. Every card down here is worth at least 1 money, right? It's coppers and minions. So I'm guaranteed to hit 5. Would I rather trash an estate than gain a groundskeeper? I'd probably rather gain the groundskeeper, right? Yeah, I think so. All right, they'll get to do minion groundskeeper here. I'm really laggy at the moment. Don't like that. Okay, do I pitch here? I've got a minion on top, so I'm still really likely to hit 5. I mean, there's a chance I draw like minion, 2 coppers, and an estate, which in case I don't. So maybe I don't take that risk. I mean, I get to attack them. Not sure how much the attack matters. I don't think my likelihood of getting to minion groundskeeper is that high. Maybe it's not that low either. I think I'll pitch. I'm a little behind, so I think it's worth taking a few risks here. Probably top deck the silver. 2 coins, and then pitch. And then ideally this gets me to 5 plus charm. Yeah, so I have minion groundskeeper here. I again am faced with this choice of potentially trashing copper and not taking groundskeeper. I think taking groundskeeper is better than trashing. I think. I mean, I do have to be worried because with only 4 minions, my deck is substantially more likely to dud than theirs is, and I might need to continue trashing to get around that. But groundskeeper is also just kind of like the main end goal of this kingdom. I don't want to get too behind on. They've trashed 2 coppers. Yeah, I've only trashed 1 more card than they have. No, wait. Yeah, I've trashed 1 more card than they have. I've trashed 3 total, one of which is Falconer, which doesn't count. But I also stowed away an estate on my island map, which isn't being accounted for there. So I've trashed 3, they've trashed 2. Yeah, I'm behind here. I'm feeling minion groundskeeper, but uh, I really want to trash as well. Well, I hit 5 at least. This is the problem with not trashing. Is you're gonna get hands like this. Don't do a whole lot. I'm not liking how this is going. I'm looking really likely to end up being down 3-1 going into game 6. But it's not over yet. Not quite over. Are they done? Nice, nice. That's great news for me. Probably just playing this Necromancer as Zombie Spy. It has the benefit of triggering a shuffle, so the estate and the copper don't go back into the shuffle I trigger. And that's probably fine being on top. Just don't top deck anything. Discard. And I mean, this is pretty. I still am not getting to trash. I really, really want to trash cards, desperately so. But I mean, I get 2 groundskeepers here, which seems pretty nice. My deck just super, super depends on trashing because I only have 4 minions to work with, and that's just not happening right now. I've got half the groundskeepers. I will expect that they get both of these last 2. They seem unlikely to dead if they did it before. Means the rest of the deck has a lot of minions in it. I think they can hit 10 here pretty easily for 2 groundskeepers. They might be able to hit like 5 plus 2 charms and do like Duchy double groundskeeper, which is also a concern. Interesting. Maybe, yeah, I don't fully get their set of buys here. I would have thought you just do both charms for gains and then. Oh, I see, I see. They have a bunch of junk down here, and I guess they really needed to buy Scouting Party to avoid having a dud. Makes sense. So what am I accomplishing with this turn? I could just stop here, do Duchy Groundskeeper. That scores a decent amount of points. If I draw on, I'm pitching my only plus buy card, which is unfortunate. But it lets me hit him with the discard attack. It lets me trash. I do have a suspicion, though, that maybe this hand of theirs isn't so good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. Like, they played a bunch of their minions this turn, and they sure seemed concerned enough to buy a Scouting Party. So maybe I shouldn't pitch. Maybe pitching their 5 cards here would help them. I really want to trash cards, and I'm not trashing cards. I talked about how important that was, and haven't done it at all. So if I pitch, I attack them, but I think it's questionably an attack here. I'm not sure how likely they are to that, really. Like, even if they don't have any minions down here, if they have like a Harbinger and a Groundskeeper, no, they play both their Harbingers. I was gonna say if they had Harbinger Groundskeeper, they just top deck a minion and then play it. I don't know. I think this could be a dead hand. I've only seen 4 of their minions, but some of those could have been pitched when I minion attacked them last time. I think I'll discard. Okay, well now I've got to contemplate. Like, I can top deck Charm here. I forgot about my nifty little Harbinger here. I've got 1 more Groundskeeper up there, and I've got 1 more Copper up there. Groundskeeper, Copper, Minion. Yes, I think that's Groundskeeper, Copper, Minion, right? Yeah, this is actually, I think, be a really good draw, right? So if I top deck Charm, pitch with Minion, and I have a hand of Groundskeeper, Copper, Minion, Charm, play the Minion for 2 more money, I'll have 4, trash the Copper, and then I could do like Island Necromancer. That sounds great, right? That sounds great. We like trashing things. This is not a particularly bad hand for their minions to hit. I would like to Zombie Apprentice like a Harbinger, I think, would be great. Because then any of my Necromancers can be a Harbinger, which could potentially save me from a dead turn. Like in one of those hands where I was just discussing, where you have a Harbinger or Necromancer once Harbinger's in the trash, and then another cantrip like Groundskeeper. Even if you have no minions, you can play the Harbinger, top deck a minion, and then save the turn. I would love to trash a Harbinger. Problem is, I think I only have the one. Yeah, I've only got one. So I'm down, but I'm not out. I do have 5 Groundskeepers to their 4. They've got 2 Charms, but I think they're also less trashed. I think the less trashing isn't a huge deal for them, because they have 6 minions to my 4, so they've got 50% more draw cards, which is, I think, more than enough to make their decks net more reliable, even accounting for the more stop cards they have. Oh my, is that another dud? I mean, they could just be stopping here voluntarily because they found their charm. Yeah, I think that was a bit of a dud on their part, right? Yeah, they didn't have any of their minions in hand, so they dudded. Discard that. Don't want that. It's important to me that I find these groundskeepers. Alright, so I found 4 of them. Pretty sure I'm just stopping here. Seems ideal. Get to get rid of 2 junk cards. The island isn't, I guess, really a junk card because I don't really value the 2 points very much, and so I would happily zombie apprentice an island with Necromancer to get it back out of my deck. Makes it, I think, a lot better than Duchy in terms of avoiding duds. But don't mind setting aside with an estate either. I think I just want to set aside and buy one more island and not buy Scouting Party because I don't want to trigger that shuffle at all. And then, I mean, that's getting to the point where they could potentially pile out, I think, because they've got 3 buys and a zombie, not a zombie, a Necromancer. They have a Necromancer. They could play as Falconer, gain an island, play 2 charms for plus buy island to island groundskeeper, and pile. I think I've got to take that risk. Can't just not score. I could, I suppose, take a Duchy, but I'm not sure if the long game favors me. I mean, I am still more trashed, right? Like, that is a thing that's in my advantage. They've only trashed 2 cards. I've trashed 3 plus 2 on the island map. So 5. Like, I do have a lot fewer total junk cards on my deck, despite having fewer minions. That's something. I feel like it might just not be worth playing around them taking like a groundskeeper and 3 islands, though. That is a bunch of points for them to take. Like, if they do that, well, then I'm gonna win anyway. Probably already lost. I think I just take another island here. I don't like this hand because it's almost certainly getting pitched, and it had a bunch of my good cards in it. I think your starting hand can tolerate having a good card if you've got a Harbinger because you can resuscitate that card. Uh, okay, well their turn ended. Yeah, so it it did seem reasonable not to play around this possibility. I think like their deck theoretically I think can do that, but like, these decks are not reliable. So they could do Island Necromancer here. They could just do Duchy. My guess is they'll just take a Duchy rather than lower piles, but I'm not sure. Okay, they're lowering. I again like my deck can theoretically pile here. It's just really unlikely. This lag is bad today. I'm sure my game always looks laggy, but I'm pretty sure it's not the game itself. I think my laptop is just struggling to run the recording software. It's not the strongest machine ever. And so every game that gets recorded looks laggy, and all the games I play that I don't record are perfectly fine. So it looks worse than it really is. Yeah, so like I would need to hit 9 with Charm in hand, including the 2 from Charm, plus having a Necromancer in hand to win the game. That seems pretty unlikely here. Yeah, maybe that was a bad play order. I probably should have played Zombie Spy first. Can't ask what I'm gonna do now though, because I just saw the draw. So these bottom four cards, what do they pitch again? Something really good. Yeah, so these bottom four cards have no minions in them. They don't have the Harbinger. They don't have a Necromancer. The bottom four have two Groundskeepers and crashed two coppers. I'm looking at two coppers. That's four accounted for. And I pitched a copper. It's five accounted for. So I think the bottom is two Groundskeepers, two coppers. Sounds right to me. So like if I drew on, that would give me some chance of hitting a Groundskeeper, getting a little bit more points out of this turn. Like if I find a Groundskeeper, that's actually great because I can just play it as Way of the Goat, still get the point off of it. That's only a 50-50 shot. I'm certainly regretting playing Groundskeeper first. Like the logic for playing Groundskeeper first is you're not necessarily sure what you want to do with the Necromancer. There's a bunch of options here, and it gives you more information. But the downside is if I wanted to play it as Zombie Spy anyway, I'd rather discard Copper, guarantee I've got a Groundskeeper on top, or make it more likely at least, and then play with the Groundskeeper. So I could draw one 50-50 chance that I find Groundskeeper, trash Copper, buy Duchy or something, get the points off of it. I could just trash here, 100% chance I've trashed, comes with one less point, but no 50-50 downside of drawing Copper. That sounds safer, right? You like to trash. I could also play it as Falconer and just take like double Island or something. That actually sounds great, right? So if I've got three Groundskeepers in play, two Islands would score me 10 points. They could beat that if they find both charms and then they buy Groundskeeper and take two Duchies, and they would just need to have at least two Groundskeepers in play. So with like a really good turn, they beat that. I'm not sure if that's unlikely for them. It kind of is because they have to line up both charms in the same hand after having 5 money. They do have those Harbingers. So like if I take two islands and they can't do 10 points plus a Groundskeeper, I think I just win next turn. I just have to decide, do I think that's really likely? Yeah, if they can do 10 points plus a Groundskeeper, there's probably a good chance they could just do two islands and a Groundskeeper. Like that's marginally harder because you can't use the charm's gain effect to do Groundskeeper Duchy Duchy when the island costs less. But I think this is the best play. Just take two islands because it only uniquely loses if their deck is in that like, in between ground that it can do exactly Groundskeeper double Duchy but not Groundskeeper double island, which seems unlikely. And I still don't think I want a scouting party. Trigger's a bad shuffle. Don't want to trigger. All right, do your worst, Mercury. Don't do your worst. Well, do your worst in the sense that like the worst possible turn for you would be great. Don't do your worst to me, as in the most damaging thing to me, because that definitely includes winning. There's a very possible scenario where they win this turn. Got a lot of spectators, which I didn't expect because there are literally 3 of the 4 quarterfinals matches going on right now. This one started 2 hours ago, one started 1 hour ago, one started 10 minutes ago. I expected them to be more evenly distributed, but I guess because ours started first, most people started watching ours and are stuck here and didn't want to transition over to the other ones once they started. I will say that is the fault of those other 2 folks, though. Mercury and I scheduled first, And then those other two groups, they scheduled their matches right on top of ours. Uh, Rather disrespectful, if you asked me. I actually tried to get Mercury to move this match up so that there wouldn't be such a conflict, but I don't think their schedule allows it. Okay. All of a sudden, I'm feeling really good. I have to draw one money. I draw one money, I win. I think that's almost guaranteed. I just have to like not draw both islands, I think. Okay. Groundskeeper. Let's keep going. Oh, Jesus Christ. Please don't draw the other island. God, this is so stressful. Please, anything but island. That was, oh my goodness. More pain than my heart can endure. And they probably thought for a second, oh, he did it. He's only got four money. But actually, I had a charm in hand. I have five money. Six, in fact. Oh, I wasn't thinking I was going to win that one after they lost the minion split. They had some duds there, and like obviously that is somewhat likely because they didn't trash as much as I did. But I think they had really probably more duds than should be expected. I thought their deck should be on the whole more reliable than mine. Because adding two more draw cards, I think, should have a bigger effect on avoiding duds than trashing like two or three more cards like I did. So I think they took an early lead and just kind of lost that to relatively worse draws. Now we're 2-2. Whew. Unfortunately, as I'm sure mentioned a number of times now, I think this bodes poorly for me. If we follow the trend of history, I lost 4-0 2019 in quarterfinals. I lost 4-1 2020 in quarterfinals. I'm kind of fated to lose 4-2 in quarterfinals this year. I've already won two, so not looking great for my odds of winning the next two. Anyways, what do we have here? Goodness gracious. We're not getting a whole lot of villages. We're back to nobles as a village, which, as I complained about in the first game, is not a very good village. Uh, so I think this looks pretty moneyish. Actually, whew, there's like there's just enough here to tempt you into building. So you got nobles plus swashbuckler. It's just like a really convoluted laboratory at the end of the day. Like one nobles plus one swashbuckler draws you net one card, the same effect as a laboratory. Comes with 2 points, but is over twice as expensive. And you've got outpost, which is big payoff to building. You get to take 2 turns. That's not really great for money because you can't do much with a 3-card turn, but that's great for an engine where you get to have like 2 whole turns. And you got fortune, which is excellent payload for an engine. But then the trashing is kind of mediocre. You just got cemetery. You've got wolfskin, which I think is particularly awkward with outpost and fortune because those are things you normally just want one copy of. So it's like -6 points. And you've got lucky coin from Fool, which is just like a very moneyish card. I think maybe the single most moneyish thing in the game is having Fool in the Kingdom. Not because of Fool itself, which is itself probably better money than engines, but because Lucky Coin is bad to play all the time if you have an engine, so you're playing with like one less copper, but great for money because you flood your deck with silvers. So I think I don't believe in building here. I think I just believe in playing money. I see some like fast-ish money stuff. I have another 5-2. I had 5-2 in the Falconer game. Did I have 5-2 in the other games? Not in Rebuild. Not in the Chapel game. There's one other game that I lost after Rebuild, right? It involved him taking 3 provinces. Oh, the Hagler thing. Yeah, I didn't have the 5-2 there either, did I? Okay, I've had two 5-2s in a row, but not like a huge number of them. Anyways, what am I doing? Embargo's probably better than nothing, right? I do have to be very conscious about any card I take here, because Wolfden means if I take one of them, I gotta take two of them. And if I'm playing something along the lines of money, I'm not gonna be necessarily buying like a ton of cards before greening. I'm not gonna have a huge ability to gain a bunch of extra cards in the end game to fix up my Wolfden point situation. So I gotta be careful here. Oh, that also means Fool. I mean, Fool's normally pretty good in money, I think. You often have green cards in your hand that you can discard with Lost in the Woods. The boons are often a little bit more helpful if you have money. But here, Fool itself is -3 coins, because I don't think you really want two of them. And it runs a real risk that you get Will-O-Wisp, which if you just get one copy of is -3 points as well, in terms of Wolfden. And so that's a big concern. If you get two Will-O-Wisps, like you go all the way through the boon pile and back around, that would fix the problem. Huh. Well, I think I want an Embargo. And then I think Swashbuckler. The Fool looks really appealing, though. So on top of this, the general benefit it has of you get to make use of that Lost in the Woods effect more often if you're playing money. The discard also makes your Swashbucklers much more likely to give you coffers, which seems great if you're playing with Swashbuckler as your main terminal. Skulk is interesting. The Curse could really hurt. Curse is -4 victory points here if you only give out one of them as a Wolfden. And gold is not bad for playing money. I think I prefer Swashbuckler. Potentially lines up a big cemetery hand, and it also gets me back around to my lucky coin, which I really value. I've got 6 here. I think this might be Nobles. I'm not sure if Nobles is better than Swashbuckler. Like, if you collide them, Nobles and Swashbuckler, it's not. Like, the Nobles isn't really better on its own, because if you play Nobles, play Swashbuckler, it's the same as just playing Swashbuckler. If you play 3 of them, like 2 Nobles and a Swashbuckler, 2 Swashbucklers and Nobles, then you're really happy to have that. I think I want Nobles, though. I think that's worth it. Me. This draw's not bad. I draw my Embargo dead, but like weirdly, the Embargo is kind of helpful here because it means I don't trigger a shuffle and do get a coffer off of this Swashbuckler, which is neat. Ooh, and I really wish I had one more coin somehow. I mean, I don't know if it's possible. I guess if the silver in this hand instead of the copper. I would love to buy Cemetery, trash 3 estates, Haunted Mirror, gain the Ghost. But I can't quite afford that. I could buy Cemetery anyway and just trash all 3 estates. I think I prefer not doing that, though. I think I'm going to take the Fool. Of course, uncertain about that as usual. But the coffer is pretty valuable here if I can get to, not Alliance, to, what's the other thing that gives golds? Treasure Chest, where's that? I guess I can only see that if I click Swashbuckler. Treasure Chest is, pretty good if I'm playing money. Okay, so now I have a difficult question of do I play Nobles for plus action or not? If I play the Fool and get Field's Gift, well, then I'd much rather not play the Nobles first, because then I could play the Nobles for draw. Field's Gift being the one that gives plus actions itself. But if I don't get Field's Gift, and I get like maybe Sun's Gift plus Wind's Gift, or Sun's Gift plus Sea's Gift, then I might be able to draw my Swashbuckler and play it, which would be excellent. But I can only do that if I took the plus action off of Nobles first. I think I'm going to play the Fool. Field's Gift alone seems more likely than that combination I was talking about. Plus, if I get the gold-giving one, the Sky's Gift, I might just want to discard the Nobles for gold. Okay, well, I got the plus action one. That's great. I got Will-O-Wisp, which is not necessarily great. Sure hope I get a second one of those before this game ends. I can also trash it. I guess I could fix this Will-O-Wisp problem, if necessary, by just buying a cemetery and killing it. Please don't draw Swashbuckler. Please don't draw Swashbuckler. Okay, this is fine. I think I want to buy cemetery here. I mean, trashing Lucky Coin would give me 3 coins. Not 3 coins, 3 victory points. But I do really value the flood of silvers it's giving me, so I'm not sure I really want to do that yet. I do want to trash the Haunted Mirror, though. That gives me a ghost and gives me 3... No, it doesn't really give me 3 victory points, because I'm going to get a ghost off of it, which is also Wolfden points. But Ghost seems great. For like hitting 10 for a line later in the game. Like a huge hand. I do that. I do remember there was some fellow who commented on one of my YouTube videos about the badness of the lag. And like believe me, poor commenter who doesn't like the fact that my game lags. It hurts me more than it hurts you. Uh, this is it adds to the stress when like I played the nobles for draw. I'm trying to figure out whether I drew the swashbuckler dead, and then it's taken a minute to load. Uh, I don't like that feeling any more than you do. But I mean, I think the only way to fix that would be to get a better computer. And other than not running OBS very well, I think this laptop is doing pretty fine. Okay. So I have an interesting choice to make here. I could just buy nobles, seems great, or swashbuckler, seems great. I could also buy cemetery, which trashes the last two estates, does kill this will-o-wisp, and kills two or one more copper along with it as well. That's a decent amount of thinning. The downside is, what if I trash the first will-o-wisp and then just get a second one? That would be annoying, wouldn't it? So just buy nobles, buy cemetery, I think are the two main options here. Cemetery. I gotta buy a second cemetery at some point because I think it's worth 5 points because it doubles up my cemeteries to fix Wolfden. That does remind me of I substantially learned a lot of Dominion back when I was newer to the game watching Dan Brooks play. And I remember whenever Wolfden was in the kingdom, a common habit of his was when he wanted to talk about fixing the Wolfden situation where you have negative 3 points, you need to gain a second copy of the card. He would always describe that as undoubling. Like, I need to undouble my cemeteries. And like that doesn't make sense because you only had one cemetery and you're going to two. So if anything, like you're doubling, you're not undoubling. Undoubling would be like having two and going down to one. They said that a lot. And I think that's just ingrained enough in my head now that I have to resist the urge to describe that as undoubling. Because I know it doesn't make sense. But he said it, and now I'm stuck with that in my head. I need to play this embargo before the game ends, because otherwise this embargo is going to be worth negative points for me. I'm sure I'll have a chance at some point, though. I really want to play the Fool. Okay. I could trash the embargo now if I want to. I think I want to put Swashbuckler on top. Like, it's going to hit Nobles, I think, if I don't, which is about as good. But if they don't manage to play their Fool next turn, I can discard a card, and this Swashbuckler will give me 2 coffers, which sounds amazing. And, it might be time to just say goodbye to the embargo already. I could also kill the lucky coin now for those 3 points. Now, I mean, would be an opportune time to do that if I think I can just live with no more silvers for the rest of the game and just start buying alliances or something for my money. I could also trash neither of them. I think I like trashing the lucky coin? Question mark. Not super sure about that. I'll just buy a silver. Please do not play your Fool. It helps me so... God dang it. I asked nicely. That hurts my turn a bunch. So, like, if they didn't play the Fool, I could have discarded the Cemetery and got a boon, which on its own is good, but mainly would mean this Swashbuckler would give me 2 coffers, which are both valuable in their own right and get me much closer to the treasure chest. I wish that Undo were undoing their Fool play entirely, but I'm pretty sure they're just undoing the Earth Gift choice. Maybe they're going to do a Cemetery trash here? not sure what they're planning. Oh, they didn't want it. Okay, fair enough. They're up 2 provinces to none, which is not insignificant in a money game. I get to do alliance here, though, which sounds fun. Did I just draw my whole deck? I just drew my whole deck. That's cool. Wish I had plus buy. So I have. Wait, do I only have 1 copy of each draw card? That's annoying. I thought I had more than that. Oh, that was that time I was considering nobles and just bought a second cemetery instead. Okay, well, never mind then. I think I want to embargo province. Gives me the excuse to build it a little bit longer and only green via alliancing, which, given that I'm down 2 provinces to none, is probably for the best. And at some point, I need to get a second copy of Nobles and a second copy of Swashbuckler. My deck's much thinner, though, which is the benefit it has. This alliance is not going to be worth a whole lot of points, because I'm going to gain my first copy of Duchy, Estate, and Gold. But the next alliance that I get will be worth a bunch. Alright. The quality of this ghost is going to hinge a lot on whether it flips Fool or Nobles, I think. Actually, I mean, I would obviously love it if it flipped the Nobles. That's much better for me, because drawing 6 cards is better than playing Fool once and then playing it a second time doing nothing. But even ghosting the Fool is not so bad. Nifty little effect that will have is if you play the Fool at the start of your turn, like while it's still the start of turn portion of the phase, you can actually immediately use Lost in the Woods, because you'll still be in the start of your turn. And so you can play a Fool and get that effect the same turn, which is kind of neat. And I really wish I had Lost in the Woods at any of these turns where I had Swashbuckler in hand and nothing in discard. That would help so much. Oh wait, I do have Lost in the Woods. What am I talking about? All right, now I'm happy. We're gonna get a coffer here. And I probably want to trash this copper. Not sure. I mean, it's a money game. Getting super thin is not important to me. I'm probably just buying Swashbuckler or Nobles here, and I'm probably going to hit 5 or 6 anyway. Think I'll trash it. Yeah, looks like it worked out fine. The copper would not have helped me this turn. There's a little risk. If I drew like 1 copper, nothing else, and hit 4, I would have been really sad about that. Maybe the increased lag this game is just from the spooky background I've got. It's it won't be Halloween when this video airs, I'm sure, but this game is currently happening on Halloween, and so I think the background seemed seasonally appropriate. It's even Dominion themed. Still here. Okay, so I want to ghost first because if I discard the Cemetery Lost in the Woods first and then draw, that cemetery goes back in the shuffle that I trigger. Whereas if I draw first, the cemetery is going to miss that shuffle, which, since it's a bad card, I would prefer. Plus buy would be wonderful. Forest Gift? Dang it, I don't want that one. I just trashed that. I mean, I guess it's helpful in that, no, I was going to say it's helpful in that it activates my Swashbuckler, but I have a cemetery down there anyway, so I didn't really need that. That's annoying. Give them the Will-O-Wisp for once. Come on. And no point playing that. Just Alliance again, I think. This will be worth a ton of points. I got the lead. So I need one more Swashbuckler will score me 3 points. Another Fool will score me 3 points. Trashing that dang Will-O-Wisp that I just got will score me 3 points. I'm surprised they got a Ghost here. Like, I thought Ghost was really good. It's helped me on the turns I got it. But the game is nearly over, and it's worth negative 3 points. So I'm not sure if it'll have time to pay off. It's not unreasonable, I suppose, because, like, you still really want to hit Alliance, I've embargoed the provinces, so hitting 10 is a lot better than hitting 8. And Ghost gives you the big turns that might do that. Probably just discard the victory cards and keep the nobles. Then ordering. And do I buy one more Fool here? I could buy the Swashbuckler now. I think I'd rather just buy the Fool here. Scores 3 points. Dang, Will-O-Wisp. I don't want you. Leave me be. I don't think I'm discarding for... Shoot. Now I gotta think about what boons have been gained. What were the last 9 boons? Sun, Swamp. I remember the Swamp. I really remember the Swamp's gift. Flame, Field, Sun, Swamp, Flame, Field, that's 4. Moon, Sea, that's 6. Wind, Earth, Mountain. So I said Sun, Swamp, Flame, Sea, Field, Moon, Wind, Earth, Mountain. So we're missing forests, skies, and rivers. Forest and river both sound good. I don't really want skies gift particularly much, but I think it's worth discarding. Yeah, we'll take that. We'll take that. Don't draw Swashbuckler dead, pretty please. Thank you. Okay, so I got 8. I could shell out 2 coffers and buy an alliance. That's of course really good. I could buy Swashbuckler now, and then like a silver or something. That's fine too. I think I prefer the alliance. I think it's too late for me to really care about getting treasure chest all that much. Yeah, I mean, I am pretty likely to get it next turn, right? I got a Swashbuckler down there somewhere. I do, don't I? Pretty sure I haven't played Swashbuckler. Or have I? Oh, I shoved my deck here. Yeah. Yeah, there's a Swashbuckler down there. So, like, I would get treasure chest if I didn't spend any. Well, I would probably get treasure chest if I didn't spend any coppers here. It's actually not. It's only like 50% or so likely that my Swashbuckler's in the top half. I think that's not nothing. But the game's close to over. Buying lots of alliances seems like kind of the main idea here. So I think it's either buy alliance or buy Swashbuckler and silver. Those both seem reasonable. I think I'm leaning towards Swashbuckler to silver. Just because, like, if I don't spend these coffers now, I'm really likely to hit alliance consistently from here on out. I think. Yeah, I'll get treasure chest here. I'll definitely buy alliance this turn. I think I like my position now. I like River's Gift. I'll take you. The last boon is Sky's Gift, which I don't really care about at all. Okay, we drew Noble's dead. That's not ideal, but all in all, I cannot complain about this turn. I have more coffers, which seems significant in terms of likelihood of hitting 10. I've also got more points, which seems significant in terms of likelihood of winning. I do have the treasure chest, which is something. I don't like it barely is mattering. It got me 1 gold into this shuffle. And it'll give me golds from here on out, but like there's 30 cards in this deck. I don't think we're getting back to these 30 cards before the game ends. So really all it got me was like 1 extra gold, which is something, but not much of something. I'm not even sure if discarding that was worth it. So like I know that that boon was gonna suck. So I could have left it there, knowing that if they play their fool, they'll get that boon. But if they don't play their fool, getting it out of the way means my next Lost in the Woods has a chance at a better boon. And I think it is alliance here, right? Like, how likely are they to score more than 14 points? Not super likely, I think. And if I got a ghost down, I'm pretty likely. Please don't hit the fool. Please don't hit the fool. Please, please don't hit the other fool. Dang it! Okay, well, I was gonna say I'm really likely to hit 10 again, but this fool is gonna do literally nothing because I've already got lost in the woods. But I think my odds of hitting 10 here are still not. Actually, I only hitting to hit 8. I was focused on hitting 10 because, like, up until this point in the game, hitting 10 was the main thing. But here, I think all I need to hit is 8 because I can take the curse. All I need to do is take that last province. And I got 3 in coffers, 2 in silvers. I'll get a boon of some sort, and I'll draw 3 cards, and I'll get a coffer. So between the boon and the 3 cards, I just need to find like 2 money. That seems really likely. Okay, I think I'm gonna win this. So I'll be up 3-2, but I will be player 2 in game 6. I sure hope Alliance doesn't win here for them. I don't think it does, right? They've bought Alliance before at least once. Yeah. Like, it scores 10 points on its own, and if it did, like, 2 sets of Wolfden points or something, that would tie. If it did 3 sets of Wolfden points, that would win. They've got 1 copy of all those. Oh, wait. They have to have Alliance at least twice for that to not be worth points. I think it's not worth enough points. They've definitely got provinces, 2 provinces already. They've definitely got multiple coppers. They definitely got multiple duchies, so it's not getting points off any of those. They definitely got multiple silvers. I think they haven't trashed their states. Yeah. Maybe it's getting them a second gold, but yeah, I don't think Alliance would have scored them all that many points there. I'm pretty sure they had 2 copies of at least almost all of these. I'm not sure if they had 2 golds, but they might have. Oh yeah, they definitely had 2 golds because they just got a gold off a treasure chest. Yeah, so Alliance would, I think, only been worth 10 for them. Okay, so we're gonna Lost in the Woods. I think the order here does not matter at all because Ghost in this Fool does literally nothing. I already had Lost in the Woods, so it doesn't even do the nice thing of giving you Lost in the Woods and letting you play it. Sea's Gift seems pretty good. I mean, it drew me a cemetery, which is not helpful, but the took that out of the way for Swashbuckler. Defined 2 money. Wow, I just barely got there. Apparently my deck is kind of crappy at this point. Not that that's all that surprising. Okay, whew. 3-2. We're coming back. It's going well. I really want to win this next game. Game 7 will be real stressful. I don't think I've gone to Game 7 yet this tournament. In fact, I think I might be the only person in the top 8 who hasn't been taken to Game 7 yet. But it's random player order. And obviously being player 1 in Game 7 is a pretty big advantage. And so it's going to suck if we go to Game 7 and then I think in decent measure it kind of gets determined by who's player 1. It's not like being player 1 means you win or anything, but it's an unfortunate amount of randomness. So I'd like to end this before we get there. What do we got here? So we got Draw with Hunting Party, and I think that's it. That's the only draw. We got Actions is just, it's Barracks and it's Squire for plus action. And we've got Vassal, I think, is kind of nice with Cartographer. Cartographer can make sure it hits. I'm not sure how important that is, but it's something to think about. Vampire seems pretty nice. You got Bat for trashing, and a lot of 5s here that look worth gaining. You could also trash with Count. I don't think you're going to do that, just because Count's a lot weaker than Vampire is. Scoring-wise, there's Vineyard to think about. There's Distant Lands to think about. Distant Lands is easy to get with Vampire, so that might be worth getting. I think Vineyard looks probably pretty good. So, like, if you're definitely taking a bunch of hunting parties for sure. And that's just a really good card. And then you'll get a bunch of Vineyards, I think, later in the game off of Vampire. Those are actions as well. So you're looking at, probably 8 to 10 actions just from those 2 stacks. And then I think maybe you do then want to play with some like Vassals and Cartographers and maybe a Squire or 2 for plus buy. And then these Vineyards will be worth, I don't know, somewhere in the order of 4 to 6 points each. I I think building the more action-y deck for the purposes of getting more vineyard points seems like it might be worth it. I mean, it's not too hard to do provinces here, of course, and you'll probably take some provinces as well. I need to go get a scrying pool. Alright, I'm back. It just seemed like an opportune time to pick up a scrying pool, given that I had 2p. Anyways, what am I opening with? Kind of forgot what I was thinking about. So we said, I think build a bit, focus a bit on actions, because Vineyard will be ultimately a good source of points. And I think I'm going to take Vassal here. They took a Vassal. I trust them. I think the name of the game is hitting 5. And I think I was thinking Vassal Silver. They went for Vassal Squire. If they don't collide, Vassal Squire is equivalent to Vassal Silver because you can play the Squire as Way of the Sheep. Way of the Sheep definitely makes opening actions that you don't want immediately, but otherwise want eventually, a lot more palatable than usual. Like you can even open villages with Way of the Sheep around, because in those early turns you just play them as 2 coins, which is usually better in the short term. And so that's some reason it takes the Squire. If they collide, the Squire will just be a copper, because you have to play for +1 coin, +2 actions. But maybe if they collide, you're probably hitting 5 anyway. Yeah, I definitely see some logic to the Squire. Okay, Mercury, you've convinced me. I'm going to take the Squire. But yeah, I think early on you just want to take some vampires and get a bunch of the hunting parties. And that is not 5. I am unhappy. I would like to register a formal complaint. Steph may or may not be watching. Steph is watching. Unfortunately, Steph isn't listening. I'm not actually live at the moment because there is live commentary being provided. And so this is only for YouTube. It's like I can't vent my grievances to Steph about my draws in real time. Okay, so we're okay though. We're okay. They also failed to hit 5. So things are still looking good. If I fail to hit 5 again, though, I'll be really upset. Then Steph, expect to hear a mouthful. They went with the second Squire. Do I believe in that? Sure, I believe in that. I'm just copying them, and maybe that's not the right thing to do. Okay, we hit 5 here. We're fine. If they could miss 5, that would be so helpful. Oh my goodness. I am so sorry for you, Mercury444F. Their opening was really likely to hit 5. I think probably only slightly less than just Vassal Silver. And that hits 5 92% of the time. So I'm guessing this opening is upwards of 90% to hit 5 once, decent chance of hitting 5 twice. And they're in that 8 to 10% range. I hit 5 once, so I've got a bit of a lead here. I sure hope I don't blow it. I think Vampires first 5 just seems clearly right. You can get the hunting parties off of the Vampire. Now, it wouldn't be the first time I blew a huge lead. I remember when I played them 2 years back, there was this game with... Pause that anecdote, we'll return to it in a second. I should make a choice about what to buy. I'm buying Vampire, I think. I want a second Vampire. Question is, do I want a free silver? I think I probably want the silver more than nothing. Seems good for hitting 5. I don't want a ton of silvers or anything, I don't think, but... Ooh, this hand's not great. Especially, I really hope my Vampire's not up top. My Vampire's bottom decked, which, the best of cases is still bad. But if it, I guess I could consider... Now I'm contemplating just sheeping the Vassal. So the 25% chance it flips my Vampire, which is really sad. There's also a 25% chance to hit Squire, which gets me to 5, which is really good. And I think a 50% chance it is kind of marginally good because it discards some random card I didn't really want. Those bottom 5 cards, I believe, are Vampire, Squire, and 2 estates and 2 coppers here. I had 4 coppers and a square. So yeah, bottom cards are Copper, Estate, Squire, Vampire. So 25% chance of something pretty good, 25% chance of something bad, 50% chance of something kind of sort of a little bit good. I think that makes it worth playing normally rather than sheeping it. Okay, we're in the like little bit good line. I can live with that. So they didn't go for a second vampire. That's interesting. We'll see if that pays off. I think 3 vampires early on might be overkill. I really want the hunting parties. And, vampires can get you hunting parties, but if you go for vampires heavily, you might end up getting behind on hunting parties, and most of them are gone by the time you're playing those vampires. I might pick up a third vampire eventually, pick up cartographers, distant lands, whatever. I think for the moment, I want to spend my $5 buys on hunting parties, which will help me play my vampires more often. Which is also, I think, a good reason. Like, I get why they took a hunting party over a second vampire. I think I like the 2 vampires, but hunting party lets you play the vampires you have more often, and so there's always some rationale for just going for hunting party directly rather than more total vampires. They went for cartographer already. I think I believe in hunting party too much. Like, Cardo's not bad. You are, of course, getting vassal lineups, discarding a lot of cards, but hunting party is just so good. Yeah. Okay. Do I have a bat down there? God, this is too many cards. I don't want to think about this. It's kind of significant though. This is game 6 of the quarterfinals. There's money on the line. I probably should think about this. Because if I win this, I'm guaranteed at least a portion of the pot. I think whatever fourth place makes 150 bucks. Up to 500 if I win the whole thing. So I saw 2 coppers, 2 squires, vampire. So I need 4 coppers, 2 squires, vassal, silver, estate. And then seeing 6 coppers, all my estates. I don't have a hunting party in this shuffle, do I? No, I think the first time I got a hunting party was at the top of this shuffle, wasn't it? Yeah, so there's not a hunting party down there. I think it's a copper and a vampire. So I think I'm just squirreling this. Not squirreling, sheeping. Different way. Uh, more vassals, I guess. This is a pretty good starting hand, all things considered. Anyways, I put a pin in that anecdote earlier. Way back in 2019, I remember there was this game where it was a recruiter kingdom, neither said 5-2, and I opened double cargo ship. I found cargo and 5 coins turn 3, bought a recruiter, found the other cargo turn 4, got another recruiter, enormous lead early on. Like I took double cargo is like slightly riskier than cargo silver. Took a kind of risky line, paid off, had amazing second shuffle. Still managed to totally blow the game. He beat me with some like Watchtower Squire engine, and I lost that game and all the other games in that match. So the point, which at this point is probably no longer particularly pertinent, is I shouldn't get confident because I had the better turn 3, turn 4 shuffles. He's put me in my place after such situations in the past. I think I want to get barracks eventually, but I don't know when I fit it in. Like I feel like at any point I could buy hunting party. That just sounds better than barracks. Barracks lets me, play some of these squires terminally. Like if I not squires, vassals. Like if I have 2 vassals in my hand, I can play them both, even if the first one misses. It lets me play my squires for plus buy or more of them. So I think at some point barracks will be worth it. Right now, I still just like really want to get hunting parties as much as I possibly can. I am very happy to see that. No, so I'm buying hunting party, so playing it normally gives me enough money. Lets me trash both coppers, whereas if I didn't hit that square, I would have just trashed one copper. I am again faced with this scenario of, do I want free silver? Kind of feeling like 2 silvers is still okay. I think I can justify taking 2 silvers. And time to figure out what the hunting party split is looking like. So 1 for me, 2 for me, 3, 4, 5, 6. I expect them to get the last one here. Just kidding, maybe not. They probably have a vampire in their hand. Yeah, okay. Doesn't matter what I top deck, there's no way to cleverly get around this. Oh. They gained a falconer. Oh, I think, yeah, piles are low, so I think their rationale is they just want to get to the vineyards ASAP, and falconer will gain them potions. I see that. I get that. I think I want to play the hunting parties before the squires and vassals, because the main thing I want to find with them is just vampire and or bat. I said vampire and or bat. Or vampire and bat. Sure, we'll take that. There we go. That's what I really wanted. It's pretty good, right? Okay, well there's my whole deck. So I don't want to trigger that shuffle. There's junk down there. So we will sheep the vassal. Squire for plus buy. And this looks pretty good, right? Piles are lowish, but I don't think they have that many gains. So I think I could do something like Hunting Party, Falconer, Cartographer. Could consider Barracks now. I could just do like Potion, Barracks, Hunting Party. I sure like the idea of double Falconer, which can get me up to 2 vineyards, ideally. It's very action intensive though. Like I have to play. How many squires do I even have? I do have 3 squires that I could potentially draw all of, and so I could play 2 squires for plus action, 1 squire for plus buy, 2 falconers for potions. And that could work out if I draw everything, which with 7 hunting parties and 2 fewer states might happen. I think I like that line. Hunting party, double falconer, and then try to get 2 vineyards next turn. Seems like a goal. And they can't pile, right? Can they do 4 vassals and 2 squires? They have no vampires. They have not a single vampire. 0. But they do have a falconer, which is 1 game. So they can play 2 squires for plus buy, and then they would need to have 12, 14, 16 money. They gain a vassal off their falconer. They need 16 money and 5 buys to buy those last ones. I'm just really considering whether I should just like not take the last hunting party. Yeah, I think I'll play it safe. I don't think they can pile, but there's no point in being risky. I'll just do cartographer double falconer. And then, if they take a hunting party, well, there's some risk that I pile out. But I think if I leave the hunting party, there's just like 0 chance that they can pile, please. Uh-oh. They gained a squire. Okay, well, they sure lowered piles there. I don't think they can do hunting party, 4 vassals, and a squire, though. Can they? I don't think they can do that. That's like substantially more money. If they had a vampire, then that hunting party would not be so hard to get. But I don't think they can do. What's that? 19 money they need then? 19 and 3 buys, 5 buys? Yeah, they weren't even particularly close. Whew, yeah, all of a sudden I feel like I'm in a huge lead after this dud. That's really bad for them. I took a province. I mean, I can't say that's wrong because I do have some level of pile threat here, but the deck's not getting any better if they take province. Oh, they're just calling it. Okay. That's 4-2, right? Yep, GG's. Okay, on to semifinals. I've finally broken the quarterfinals curse. Good games to you, Mercury444F. Glad I could get my revenge from 2019. That's the match.